need to know what things to look out for when it's time to get back in the seat again. Now, for some people it's about storing it up over winter, or for others, like myself, it's when something happens. So my broken shoulder has meant that I've not been able to ride for a long time. It really sucks. However, I know that I'm healing, and I know that it's getting better, and I know it's not going to be that long until I can get back on the bike again. So in the meantime, here's a 10-point list of things to check when you're ready to ride your bike. It's really important to start off with a clean bike because it's going to be so much easier to see all the things that you need to check. So get out there, give it a good clean. So the first thing we're going to check is the oil. So as we come round to the right hand side of the bike, you'll see there is a little viewing window just in here. I've taken the fairings off the bike to make this a lot easier to see. So that's the oil level that we were looking at through the viewing window before. So you can see you've got L for low and F for full, and I'm a little bit on the low side. Also, it's really dark in colour as well, so I'm definitely going to get that swapped over. Hit the link for my other video if you're not sure on how to change the oil, and it will talk you through it step by step. Just on a side note, top tip, I've taken the fairings off the bike. Well, what I've actually done is hung them up in the garage. That way there's no chance that myself or one of the girls can accidentally step on the fairings and crack them, because those are hellish expensive to repair or replace. Next, we're going to check the coolant level in the bike. So on the SV650, this is found on the right hand side of the bike, just underneath the petrol tank here, and you can see you've got the lower level and the upper level. So if I give the bike a bit of a wobble, you can see there by that it's at the lower level. So again, that's another fluid that's going to need swapping out and renewing. As before, click on the link for the step-by-step guide on how to do this. Next up, it's tyres, the part that keeps you on the road. So a very critical part, especially if your bike has been in storage for a while. So what you're looking for is when it's up on a stand, you're looking to rotate the wheel, you're looking for any bulges, bumps, any cuts, anything in the tyre that shouldn't be as it should be. So spend a little bit of time and just run your fingers around and just look for anything that isn't quite right. You want to make sure you've got enough tread on the tyre as well, and then using a decent gauge if you can, make sure you check on the tyre pressures and make sure they're okay. For a more in-depth look on tyres, click on the link. Talking about the battery and electrical systems now, a really useful tool is a multimeter. That will enable you to assess the health of your battery by connecting it and seeing what the voltage is. For people that are leaving their bikes in storage a while, I know a lot of people use a slow trickle charge, which just maintains the health of the battery. If you haven't done this, you may need to swap out the battery if it's been sat for a long time. You're welcome to click on the link, which will show you a step-by-step guide around that. Alternatively, the great way of testing the electrical systems is just to try turning the bike on and seeing if there's enough power in there to get it started. Lighting systems are next, so we're going to switch it on and make sure that the headlights are working. We're going to also make sure that the indicators are working on both sides as well. Fantastic. We're going to do the same thing on the back now. Go ahead and test the back. We're checking that the indicators are working, which they both are, and we're also checking that we've got a brake light come through. That's the front brake, and then pushing the pedal, there's the rear brake as well. Excellent, so we've got full lights. Drivetrain is next, so a couple of quick things we're going to check for. We need to give it a good clean and then lube it all up and make sure that it's got everything it needs to run nice and clearly, and also to check the slack on there as well. Should have no more than 2 to 3 centimetres on the SV650, so I'm quite happy there. As before, click on the link if you want a more in-depth view around the bike chain, and you can see one of my other videos for that. We're going to check the braking system next. If we inspect the front master cylinder, I can see just by the colour of the fluid that's in there that's going to need to be swapped out. It should be quite a pale, clear kind of colour, and that's quite dark, so that's definitely another fluid that's going to need to get swapped out before I start riding the bike. Rear cylinder now, and it's just in here, and again, although not quite as dark as the front cylinder, that fluid in there is still a little bit darker than I would like, so I'm going to look to get that one swapped out as well. Brake pads have got some material left on them, which in this case they have. Check the front ones as well. Front caliper pads, and you can see by that little notch just there, when that notch disappears, then that's when the brake pads need to be replaced. So again, there's loads of life on these pads yet. Because the bike hasn't been used for a while, it is going to be really important to take it steady while it's braking. And if you do need to change the pads, or you want to clean the calipers, and you want to have a look at some of the brake bleeding essentials, again, I've got a series of videos. Just click on these links and it'll take you for some more information. Next is fresh fuel. So If I open it up in here, when you leave a bike for a prolonged period of time, it's usually a good idea to fill the fuel tank right up to the brim. That way you stop any extra air getting into the fuel tank, which can enable it to cause some form of corrosion. What's really important when you get it out of storage is then to either swap out that fuel depending on how long it's been there for, or when you do top it up again, make sure you use a really good quality fuel. Last thing now is fixtures, fittings, seals and leaks. So what you need to do is start at one point of your bike and just systematically work your way around. Just make sure that absolutely nothing is loose that shouldn't be loose, such things like the fairing, the fork seals, there's no leakage or fluid in any way. And as we go around the bike, we're just checking that there's no loose bits, like with foot pegs, pedals, checking things like rubber seals, making sure they're not perished that might need replacing. We're just checking that everything is solid on the bike. I hope you found that useful. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's 10 really good first places to start to get your bike up and running. I'm really looking forward to being back on two wheels soon. I hope if you're getting your bike ready to go back on the road that you're out there as well and enjoying it. I hope you found the extra link videos throughout useful. If you hit the subscribe button, it's going to set you an alert when I send out the next lot of videos. In the meantime, safe riding guys.